Hi everybody, it's Brad with Big Family Homestead, and in this edition of the Homestead Nation, we are talking about building communities, how you as a self-reliant individual can get hooked up with and encourage and learn from and be a part of a larger community. We also talk about the differences of, the different self-reliant lifestyles, how to get started, all kinds of really cool stuff coming right up, so let's get to it. So before we jump into the conversation, which I'm sure you will greatly appreciate, I'm going to just ask you right off the bat, please, when this is over, don't forget to share the video, like it, subscribe it, pass it around. It truly does help our channels and our families out. And so without any further ado, here we go into the conversation with Carolina Prepper 7. Have a great day. Enjoy, guys. Hi everybody, I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead with Carolina Prepper 7, and today, how you doing, bro?
Hey, buddy. Good. How are you?
We've got something, I think, prepared that a lot of people have been asking about because prepping and homesteading are very, very similar things. They overlap in a lot of ways, and we're going to talk about the differences that we view, how we got started, how to make a roadmap for yourself, because it's a daunting task. I mean, I came at this differently than you did, but why don't you go ahead and talk about a little bit how you began, because you were saying you were listening to some radio shows, but you didn't really start right off the bat. I was a little bit different, but go ahead and talk about your experience.
Yeah, I feel like the first probably, 18 months, 2 years, I wasted a lot of that time feeding off of the fear porn out there, the Alex Joneses of the world and a bunch of other channels out there. Again, I said this in a previous video, I'll credit them for jolting me out of my slumber. But what I probably should have done, and if I could do it over again, was stop sucking that in so much and letting it cloud my judgment for too long a period of time, and started turning that into action sooner. So you did it a little different, and I think probably a little better.
Well, I don't know if there's any better way to do any of this stuff. I'm just glad to be awake, to be honest. But seriously, because I honestly, it's gotten to the point where I will pity people. As a matter of fact, my family and I, we literally just came rushing back because there was a bunch of garage sales in one of these, I call them McMansion neighborhoods, where the houses are they're massive, but they're like cardboard and vapor, but they pack them all in, and they had garage sales, and it's just really funny that when you go from, person to person to person, you're meeting these people, and you can tell they have no clue. If there was any kind of disaster tomorrow, they would be eating themselves in a week. And I'm not kidding, man. And it's scary. They just simply don't know. And
they're future zombies.
Yeah, absolutely. Or zombie food. And good point. You only have to be faster than the other guy. You never have to be you can sneak it away. Right. But no, I came about it from a little bit different in that I did start listening to those shows, and it was like, holy smokes. And I quickly realized that I am poor and underprepared, and I would not be able to feed my family if I couldn't get to a grocery store in a week. And so instantly it was like panic mode in that I at least have to get the basics done. And then so we would go and buy, your bags of rice. You got to start with rice. And then it was really funny because I work at a church, and I lived in a parsonage in a very wealthy area of, a lot of rich people around. And so my wife comes to me and she says, I think I want chickens. And I said, excuse me? Like, you know where we live, right, woman? These people are not going to tolerate this. And so I just laughed at it, and I said, well, okay, I'll tell you what. Because in my mind, I'm going, church is never going to let us have chickens at the parsonage. So I'll just go ask, the pastor, and he'll tell me no, and that'll be the end of it. So I go and ask him, and I said, hey, can we have chickens? And he says, there's no way in the world the city's going to let them have chickens. He didn't want to be the bad guy either. So he says, well, I'll tell you what. If the city says you can have chickens, you can have chickens. It just so happens to turn out that 2 weeks before, the city just voted to let people have rural chickens. So that's how we ended up starting. And then it was kind of like just ping, 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 ping. And to be honest, we were really disorganized in the beginning. It was kind of like, well, we got to have a good source of water, and we got to have a good source of this, and we got to have. So it was kind of mayhem for quite a while. And for me, it would have been better had we had a better thought out plan, an actual plan.
No, my brain just kind of exploded when I first started thinking about this. And I guess I reverted back to, I've hunted before, I fished before, I have guns. I'll be able to go out in the woods and get enough food. That's kind of where my head went.
You went straight primal, man. You went primal right off the bat.
It's probably not too far off from where a lot of people maybe start out at. I actually, because they were still building in my development, there was a lot of excess wood out in the dumpsters. So one of my thought processes early on, and not that it's a bad thought, but I went and I got a bunch of wood out of the dumpster thinking I'll be able to board up my windows and defend my house, and I'll be able to go out and hunt for food or trap or what have you. So that's where my head went early. It wasn't to getting a bunch of supplies, which is, where I got later on down the line.
That's interesting too. And I want to talk for just a few minutes on at least your perception and my perception of what the differences are between a prepper and a homesteader, because they do overlap a lot. Now,
Sure.
How do you view the difference? And then I'll talk a little bit about my experience.
Well, Starry Hilder, she's one of the gals that's on YouTube. Love her channel. Her and her husband are doing the deal off grid. So she actually brought up a comment on one of our last videos, and she kind of said, "Hey, there's a difference between homesteaders and preppers." I never thought about that until that comment. Really, I kind of lumped both groups in together. But the more I thought about it, I guess the easiest way for me to describe it is preppers seem to be more preparing for a doomsday scenario that might be more heavily consumed by security and weapons and that sort of thing, being able to defend what you have and prepare for that doomsday scenario. And homesteaders seem to be more like a lifestyle / long-term sustainability movement. And certainly where I probably started out as a prepper, I find myself gravitating towards more of the homesteading or homestead. That's where I want to get. But certainly, like you said, I don't know, 70% overlap, 50%, you pick. There's quite a bit.
Well, and I am similar in that too, that like I said, I started out reactionary. Like my waking up was reactionary. It was like, oh my God, if this happened, a month from now, we'd all be dead. We'd be dead in a matter of moments. So it was very reactionary. And then once we got, at least our foot in the door in terms of, okay, we could at least last a month. We could at least not need the grocery store. We could at least not need gasoline, yada, yada. Then it was like, okay, well, how are we going to make this last in a long-term situation? And then the interesting thing for me was that it began a mental shift for me in that, yes, it now becomes a lifestyle.
Right.
In that now I'm not so worried about the doomsday scenario pretty much at all. I mean, if it happened, I'm sure there's, issues that you're going to have to deal with in terms of defense and that kind of stuff, because there's going to be a lot of people with a handout or willing to take from you.
Right.
You're going to have to be able to make sure that you're the man of the house and you're protecting your family and all those things. I don't think about them nearly as much anymore because why? I've got a gun range in my backyard. I shoot all the time. We're constantly doing those things. We're constantly training, and now it's not even, we just don't think about it. Now it's like, okay, I'm really more concerned about how many hundreds of pounds of tomatoes I'm going to can this year and sell, and honey. I mean, because now an interesting thing that's happened with that shift in the prepper to homesteader mentality is now it's become a source of income for us too. Because we do honeybees and we sell stuff and we make soap and we do all those kinds of things. And the self-reliant way for me, for our family, has just become, it went from reactionary to now it provides for us. And I think that's really huge.
That's a great way to put it. So you're going from reactionary to future provisions type thing.
Well,
Yeah, That's awesome, and I feel myself gravitating in that type of environment. I'm gravitating towards. I want to change my lifestyle completely. I'm so frustrated. I'm so disgusted with the system, and I can't change it from voting. And that's really the only power they give we the people is, hey, you can vote out you vote out criminal A and vote in criminal B. And I realize it doesn't work anymore. So I'm willing to flush that whole system. And that's a huge change from where I used to be. I used to get in arguments with people that didn't vote, say, hey, you know, our veterans died for the right to vote. And I'm not putting down anybody out there that's watching this video that still thinks this way or that was in the military. I certainly thank you for your service. I'm changing my thought process for looking at the system is corrupt from head to toe, and I want zero part of it. So the problem that I'm finding is it's so encompassing. There's so many webs attached to you. They got so many hooks in you that I don't know that you can entirely get out of it. But you can certainly pick and choose where you want to limit or eliminate yourself from the system. And that's where I view homesteading coming in. It opens up so many avenues for you to bypass their system. That it's attractive to me because I think the only way we can change the system is to starve it. And the only way we can starve it is by not participating.
Amen. Yeah, exactly. What is it? What was that movie with Matthew Broderick and it was nuclear war and it was a computer something games.
War games.
Yeah. The only way to win is not to play.
Yeah, right.
It is not to play, and you're absolutely right, man. The thing is that I struggle with it too because it seems like we're getting ready to shift to a cashless society, and I just feel absolutely abused. Every time you go to the store, even if it's a farm store, they want to get as much information from you as they can, phone numbers, addresses. It's funny because I had a conversation with a cashier the other day, and she looked at me like I had a third eye when she goes, what's your name? And I said, I don't pass out my personal information. What's your zip code? I don't pass out personal information. And I was very polite to this young lady. She goes, well, I need to put a name into the city or into the computer. And I said, my name's Cash. And she said, Johnny Cash? I said, no, Cash. And it seems like we're being
Cash.
No, really. She had a complete disconnect that I am not going to give you any personal information. You're going to take this fiat dollar that I have, and you're going to give me the stupid chicken feed, and you're going to leave me alone.
Well, we also willingly comply. Most of us willingly comply, and that's another reason why when you watch these cop videos, where somebody gets pulled over and the cop jumps out and asks for ID even though there's no probable cause. They are flabbergasted when the person says, no, I don't have to give you my ID unless you suspect me of a crime. And the cop's like, well, if you have nothing to hide, then, why wouldn't you give me your ID? And it's the same way the cashier acts, because I think probably 99 times out of 100, people just willingly comply and give over their information.
And that we're absolutely the frog in the boiling pot of water. There is a concept, a socio political concept called the Overton Window, and in a basic format, basically, if you're here and you've got a conservative society and you want to get over here, but they will never make the jump from here to here. It's just too far. What they'll do is they'll say, I want to go here. And they ultimately end up satisfied by only going to the place they never would have gone in the first place.
Right.
I think that's where we're at as a society. They keep forcing us way further than we would ever go so that we go, whoa. Okay, man. I'm happy with crazy land, just not crazy land.
Well, they just did that with the Patriot Act, right? I mean, people were up in arms about the Patriot Act and pushed back. So they said, oh, we'll do the Freedom, whatever it was called,
and
the Freedom Act.
Call it something that's supposed to be good sounding. What a bunch of crap.
Right.
Freedom Act, my ass. I'm sorry, people. I didn't mean to. It's a load.
In fact, it's the same thing as the Patriot Act. They just called it something different, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be okay with it. I don't get it, but
it's like calling North Dakota warm, happy, fun land. No offense, North Dakota. No offense. I think it would be great to live in North Dakota, but does it sound better if you call it South Canada? I don't know.
I don't know, right?
Let's talk a little bit about, what would we have done differently in retrospect? I've been doing this for about 5 years. You can talk about your situation, but for me personally, I think I would do it slightly different. And I think that a lot of our, people watching this video would benefit in knowing, okay, we've done this for a while. What would you do different? So for me, I think that I would have really liked to come at it in a more organized fashion. Sit down like you've recommended in other videos with your finances and get a plan. I remember you saying, very many times, most people don't have an income problem. They have a spending problem. And so you need to have a map. You need to have a roadmap to get from point A to point B financially. And I agree with that. I think it's very wise wisdom, whatever. Yeah, got it. But I think that for me, I would have loved to have sat down with a pen and paper and said, okay, what are things that we can attack? Like in a financial sense, they say that if you're in a bunch of debt and you got a bunch of debt, you pick your low-hanging fruit and you get rid of them and you just keep going up and up and up. And I think that would have been the way for me to go in terms of, okay, what is the best bang for my buck? And for me, the first thing and the most important first thing for a homesteader, not a prepper, I'm not talking, yes, get your food stores, get all that stuff, get your water, get all that stuff. But when you make that shift, it's chickens. Chickens. Because you can keep them in a small, confined area. We have the benefit of having them to be able to free range where we're at. But they don't cost a lot of money. Don't get a rooster. But no, but you're going to get eggs and you're going to get meat, and they can keep going. And we use them as tillers in our garden. When the garden is done for the year, we let them go out there and they just scratch it all up. They poop everywhere, and now they just fertilize my garden for free. Organic stuff. Sit down and make a plan for yourself. Chickens is number one after you get, now hear this again, after you get your basics done. You've got to have some food on the shelves and water. Absolutely water. How are you going to get water on a constant basis if you're not strapped to a grid system where what happens if there is no electricity? Well, the water pumps are not going to pump water to your house.
Right.
How are you going to get it? Do you have a way of getting fresh water or purifying that water? So for me, that is after the basics are taken care of. Chickens is absolutely number one. I want to hear your basics and then number one, and we'll continue to press this out.
Well, that's where we're coming at this from a different perspective, because although we both believe in the basics, we're doing something different. I want to get to the chickens. I want to get to the hogs and goats and all that stuff, and you're doing that. That's awesome. But So I'll come at this from the front end.
Absolutely.
And you kind of said take care of the basics. I'll go back and kind of focus on the basics.
Okay.
If that's all right. So because most of us kind of come at this and our brains explode as we're starting to wake up, I think it's almost impossible to right out of the gate come out with a plan, because you're thinking so much differently in day 5 than you are in day 55, and then so much differently in day 555 than you were in day 55. So it's really kind of this awakening process that seems to grow and change. But what everybody needs to know is go back to the basics, like you were saying. We need to have, I think it's important you sit down and you write down a list. What do I need to survive for 1 week? If there was no electricity, if the gas pumps failed, if the water pumps failed and I didn't open, I could open my water tap and nothing came out. What do I need to survive? And that's the first thing we need to do is write that list out and then get enough to survive for a week. Now, if you have more money than you know what to do with, get enough for a month or 3 months or whatever you can afford that makes sense.
Absolutely. But
that's the first place we got to start. And then beyond that, because my brain is thinking from a wealth preservation standpoint, at least initially, that's where I got into the, how do we store value? And I will say that there's several other people out there in the YouTube community that I think people watching this video should check out if they haven't already. Contingency Preps. He's a relatively small channel like we are, and he did a great video on finance that kind of dovetailed in and went into more detail on certain subjects than we went into the other day. Southern Prepper 1 does a lot on defense, because once you start to amass this stuff, like we talked about, you need to be able to protect it, because there's going to be more people than we know what to do with looking to take what we have.
Yeah.
And he does a lot. He's doing a Minuteman series right now. And then from the water perspective, Engineer 775, great channel. He does a ton with off-grid water, solar. These are resources that, in my opinion, are invaluable. And the only place that you have access to them in the world is here on YouTube, from what I can tell. It's just a vast source. So I would say go back to what we were talking about earlier. My mistake was spending so much time getting angry, when far past the point that I realized there was a problem. Because, we all have to get to the point where we recognize there's a problem, but then what do you do about it? I spent way more time than I needed to into the getting angry phase, where I should have spent more time looking into the solutions pages or channels. So I don't know if that answered your question. I just kind of started on the front end where you went to, the latter half of the preparedness stage.
Well, and I think, yes, it did. But I think that it's important to point out, too, that everybody's situation is going to be different, and there is no one right way to do this.
Absolutely.
Everybody's coming at this from a different perspective. You may have a lot of money, you may have very little money. I've seen videos of kids who are homesteaders. I've seen videos of kids who are preppers, and they can only just grab a can of blah, blah, blah food every week or whatever. But good, do that. My encouragement, and I think you would echo this as well, is that just do something. Get learning these skills. Get out there and do it.
That's a great point. And I was thinking this as you were saying it. Most of us don't know how to do all the things that our forefathers knew how to do. So we need to start learning those things. And it's foreign, at least it was to me. Thankfully, along the years, I started teaching myself, the basics of auto mechanics, so I could change plugs and wires and brakes and rotate tires and do some other things inside the car and be comfortable. Most people can't even do that. And if you live in New Jersey, chances are you don't even know how to pump your own gas, because it's a law.
Don't get me started on New Jersey. I'm not having a good New Jersey day. I bought a wheel from a parts company, and they sent me the wrong stinking wheel. So, New Jersey, whatever.
New Jersey.
You're absolutely right, though, and that brings me to this, which is another topic that a lot of people are saying, tell us more about this. How do we do this? And that is, how do we build community and strengthen the homesteading, prepping community in a way, because we're dealing with a lot of people who are standoffish at best and maybe even a little paranoid at worst. And while we all know in our brains, we know, A, there is a problem, B, I cannot do everything on my own to a level of excellence that would save my skin, but how do I get to that point where I can interact with people and communicate with people and learn from people and benefit from their skills in this environment that's frankly a little bit, you don't want to tell everybody what you're doing, or you don't want to tell everybody where your bug out location is. And I think we need to really deal with that. Excuse me. Whoa, hallelujah. It's coming up. Lunch is here. Anyway, all right. That was a ham sandwich. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. But one thing that I think is the glowing example is YouTube. Yeah. You can share as much as you like or have as much privacy as you like while still building community. The thing that has been amazing to me, I've only been doing this a short time, actually. Christmas is when we started. I was just bored and thought, I'm going to tell my buddies in Florida about my chickens. And that was it. And then it was just game on. And now we've got so many people, even from around the world, who send me messages every day, and thank you, by the way, this is how I do this, and this is how I do that. And you can find inside that community the people that you're going to be able to gel with or feel comfortable with sharing more, and private messaging them and saying, hey, would you be interested in a phone call? You can do this in a way that is not in your face and does not, but that, for me, that is one way, the very first way that I would say that you can build community without having to risk too much, I would say.
You said it very well there. If you look at the history of my channel, which was just since the beginning of January, I went from I don't want to show my face, I don't want to let anybody know too much, to now we're doing this, and I'm sharing way more than I thought I ever would. But that's what brought this whole forum for you and I together, right? Was you and I started talking, and we said, how can we bring the community together, or at least try to build more community. And we decided that this is probably the best way that you and I can have input on that, because we're doing more than just videos on our own. We're discussing different points of view, and we're also bringing in new people. And you're right, man. I look at my analytics, and I see 120 countries people in 120 countries have viewed my videos. Unreal. I mean, unbelievable. And we're talking like countries, Sudan, Saudi Arabia. I mean, I can only picture who's watching.
I need to interject right there, because there are people in the government right now that are freaking out because clearly there's far not enough freedom on the internet, and they need to take control of this and clamp us down and make sure that they are the ones that are telling us what is truth and not truth. Right. And I don't have enough freedom in that I can't just get a free YouTube channel and say what I want. I mean, that's right. Ridiculous, right?
Well, we need a law. We need a law to guarantee that freedom. But
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just get frustrated.
I digress. Yeah. We're spending time. You and I are, and we're investing time to try to just we're building a community, and that's what makes me so excited about this. In the messages that you and I talk about that we get individually, collectively, is that other people are excited about this, and now people are contacting us saying, "Yeah, I want to be part of it," or "I've gotten some message." In fact, we have a call scheduled later today with a special guest that should be great. And this is how we're building community. And I'll tell you what, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday that I met off of YouTube. And he said, you know what's great about what we're doing is I know that, and this person's in the New England area. He said, you can rest assured that if you were ever away on business or something happened when you were on the road and you were anywhere in my neck of the woods, that you'd have a place that you can come stay. Amen. And I said, brother, likewise, if you're ever in my neck of the woods, you have a place you can come stay. And I thought, how comforting is that? Because as much as we want to plan all these preparations, there's a real chance that we're not in our sphere of influence here if and when the stuff hits the fan. We could be somewhere completely different, and this medium gives us an opportunity to forge relationships and bonds with people that we never would have met otherwise, that literally could be a lifesaver, or we could be the lifeline for them if that situation presents itself. And what a great thing. I can't think of a greater gift.
Well, and I'd like to add to what you're saying, because, yes, I agree with everything you're saying. But now those people who are on the YouTube forum, if you will, platform, you don't have to be a content creator to get involved. And by that, I mean, you don't have to make videos. Yes, you can do that, and that's great. But that is opening yourself up to another level of, people are going to know a little bit more about me. Well, yes, that is true. But what I'm saying is that if you can just comment. You can just get on there and talk to people, message people. Yeah. You can find people that are at your level of saneness, right. Whatever level you pick. Maybe you're crazy and you only blow stuff up with tannerite. Whatever, that's fine. But and that's fine too. But whatever your level of, I feel comfortable with this person, or that, you can just dip the toe in the water, shoot them a message, and you can just at any given moment be like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm gone. Yeah. And so don't feel like you have to be a content creator to get involved. I would encourage everybody to just, hey, comment on videos that you think are cool or bad or whatever. Matter of fact, there was a video yesterday, and I'm not going to mention the guy's channel, but it was a jade helm, the big military exercise thing that's getting ready to happen. Right. And it was funny because this person was literally at a Walmart in my hometown that he was saying, oh my God, Jade Helm is coming to get you. They're going to get you. And I don't know what's going to go on. I think that the secrecy is ridiculous. But this particular person was saying, this Walmart has barbed wire up on its roof and yada, yada. And he was filming it. And I'm going, wait a minute, that's the Walmart. I know where that is. It's next to Guitar Center. I make a Guitar Center all the time. And it hasn't been a Walmart for 6 years. It's been closed down, and then it was a furniture store, and they just closed it down again, and they put that stuff up to keep vagrants out of going in and living there. And there's so much misinformation. My point is that you can dip your toe in the water. You don't got to go straight into crazy land. You can find people that are like-minded and reach out in that way. And I think that is a huge way that we can start to build community and find it. Find ways that you're safe and you're comfortable.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm actually getting ready to do a video about this very subject because I would like to encourage more people to create content, although that's not where you have to start. And that's not where I started. I started on Facebook and I created a page. And crazy thing about that was I started out as a page that you can friend request. And within a short period of time, I had 4,600 friends. But, unreal.
Wow.
But talk about a built-in audience, right? I mean, people are looking to have a community. And it's evidenced by the fact that in literally months, I had 4,600 friends. So there's a lot of us out there. And some of them were not people that I chose to associate with, but some of them were. I met some offline. And it's been a great experience. As I've gotten more comfortable with YouTube, I've just kind of expanded that. And this really, I don't know that you can beat this medium or this format. This is just awesome. It may not be for everybody, but I do think think about it. In today's day and age, anybody with an iPhone or a smartphone could literally have their own TV station. I mean, this is unheard of 10 years ago or 20 years, right? I mean,
well, there's not enough freedom on the internet, so.
Right, no. We got to make it more free with this.
Got to lock it down.
But it's really unheard of. And so anybody can have a TV station, and it doesn't have to be NBC or ABC. In fact, I like the ones that are more like this, right? I mean, it's just real people talking about real stuff, their life experiences, and you can add to the forum, add to the community, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and a moving picture might be worth 1,000,000. So.
Well, and you take, and honestly, I hope that it's coming off as genuine. We are just dudes that are just talking about what's on our hearts. I've only known you for, a month now? Maybe?
It feels like forever.
Oh, yeah, no kidding, man. I feel so blessed. Anyway, but you even take a bigger channel like a Wrangler Star. Yeah. He's just wearing his heart on his sleeve. And I love his videos, man. I'll tell you what, that one that he built, his garden hoe, oh, my gosh. I want to be able to build tools with a forge. That's freaking so cool.
I didn't see that one, but clearly he's a standout, and he's doing exceptionally well. What I don't understand is when I watch some of his videos, I see 10 thumbs down. I'm thinking, who are these people that are out there thumbs downing these awesome videos? Where are they? What are they doing? I don't know what they're doing.
It is a great format. I mean, and it opens it up for you to find your niche. There are people who are like you out there, whoever you are, and you can easily just jump in, dip the toe in the water, find out, maybe message them, talk to them. And I think that it's this is how we start. This is how we begin to build and grow this community, and in a way that is non-confrontive. And you don't have to deal with the fruit bars, the nut bars. You don't have to. Find your level of comfort. So I think that is how we begin, and that sounds like a good place that we can start to wind up. So why don't you go ahead and give the 411 here, and then I'll say goodbye, and we will move on to, we're going to do another video actually with Redneck Homesteader.
Yeah, well, that's Redneck Homestead is the guy that we're going to be doing a video with, and he brings a unique perspective. So I'm really excited about a chance to bring in a new person, a third person to this, because that's ultimately probably the format that you and I have decided to go with, is let's bring in other people that have other life experiences and bring something else to the table. Because you know what? As cool as we are and as awesome as we are, I would imagine that people get sick and tired of hearing us chat after 30 some odd minutes on this thing. But so I'm excited about doing that.
To add to your point, though, if you have a channel and you have the ability to do a webcam kind of thing, and you feel like that you have a perspective that we would like to add, we want to add you to this format. So definitely private message Carolina Prepper 7 or myself. We are interested in reaching out. It doesn't have to be our perspective. We can even disagree with you and say, well, but the idea is to open the format, build the community. So I think you're just hitting the nail on the head, man. You're absolutely right. We need to open this up, and so if you feel like this might be for you, private message either of us for sure.
Awesome.
So, okay. Well, then, that said, we're getting ready to interview Redneck Homestead, and I am super excited. I don't know if I'm allowed to use his name. I think he uses his name on his videos, but I want to say his name, but I don't want to. Are we allowed? Are we allowed?
I didn't specifically ask, so we'll wait.
We'll wait. So you got to wait, but we're going to be filming that coming up here in just a bit, but we'll probably wait a few days to release that one, but be looking for that Redneck Homestead. Super cool guy. I tell you what, I've been watching his videos, and the funny thing was when Carolina Prepper 7 had told me that we had this guy, and I'm like, man, that sounds really, really familiar. And I actually had messaged him on some different stuff. He had a video on a Harbor Freight sawmill, and I was just like, oh, man, this cannot be good. Harbor Freight. So I went and shot him, and he was instant right away answering and very helpful. And so anyway, I'm excited about it. So take us out, brother.
Hey, man, keep supporting this forum because we really think this is the way to build a community. So thumbs up, share it, subscribe if you're not subscribed to both of our channels, and keep coming back.
Have an amazing day, guys.